Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Ford Mondeo car. The third generation Ford Mondeo has many advantages, but unfortunately it has a reputation for being a very unreliable car. This is especially true for the diesel versions. Incidentally, the use of different markings causes quite a bit of confusion, and the question, is it really that bad, appears very often. Low prices and high functionality put buyers in a very difficult situation. We will try to answer the question, is it worth buying? The car drives well provided it is fully functional. Even 115 horsepower diesel engines provide good dynamics with low fuel consumption. The driving position and space leave nothing to be desired, and driving this large car is a dream. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about most copies on the secondary market due to their technical condition. Engines. One of the biggest advantages of the Mondeo model was a wide range of engines, especially modern diesels, which in the predecessor were very outdated designs. Under the hood, one of 7 petrol engines could be found, including a 3.0 V6 with 226 HP intended for the sporty ST220 version. Important note: the 1.8 SI petrol engine with 130 hydrogen phosphide has direct injection. Diesels are 5 power units with a capacity of at least 2 liters and a power of 90 HP. In fact, diesel engines in the Ford Mondeo are 2 families, TDDI and TDCI, which are sometimes confused. At first, TDDI was offered with a power of 90 hydrogen phosphide, D5BA, or 116 hydrogen phosphide, D6BA. These were relatively simple designs with a Bosch rotary pump and a turbocharger with fixed geometry or variable geometry. At the time of their debut, they were no longer very modern, had a relatively low work culture, but the more powerful version gave good performance. Already in 2001, the TDCI family appeared, much more modern, but still considered a curse of this model. Although Ford used common rail injection and a variable geometry turbocharger, it did not eliminate some of the shortcomings of its predecessor, and what is worse, it added new ones that were more expensive to repair. The fact is, however, that the 116 horsepower TDCI engine, HJBA, HJBB, HJBC, provided good, and the 130 horsepower FMBA, FMBB, N7BA, very good performance with very low fuel consumption. The most powerful 2.2 TDCI engine, QJBA, QJBB, offered 155 HP and could be purchased in the ST version. With slightly higher fuel consumption for those times, it offered excellent performance. How to tell TDDI from TDCI? It's best to lift the hood. If the engine cover says Duratorque TDCI, then everything is clear, while Duratorque D means the TDDI engine. What's broken? Maybe we should start with those unfortunate engines. TDDI engines have problems with the injection pump, which starts to fail after about 200,000 kilometers. That's with proper care, but failure often occurs earlier. It is more resistant to poor quality fuel, will last longer than the high-pressure pump in the TDCI, but is more expensive to repair, replace. The water pump is fragile, in which the impeller breaks off, and it is integrated with the power steering pump. What is worse, they are connected by a fragile spline transmitting the drive. The fault manifests itself in cooling problems and an increase in the engine temperature. Fortunately, 2-liter diesel engines are resistant to overheating. Over 10 liters of coolant, 2.2 TDCI only 6 liters. The same solution has been transferred to the TDCI engines. However, the TDCI has an even bigger problem. In the high-pressure pump, the cams are made of an inappropriate material, and metal shavings from the cam end up in the fuel system and injectors. After that, the injectors are ready to be replaced, and it is absolutely necessary to replace the fuel pump and flush the entire system. An incomplete repair will result in the fault returning soon. It is good to be aware that Ford recommends 5W30 oil for its diesel engines, and low SAPS oil is a must for versions with DPF. A common feature is also the low durability of the dual-mass flywheel and the pulley. The first one is a problem because owners often replace the clutch with mechanics without qualifications, tools, and who are not familiar with the technology. The Mondeo Mk3 in most copies has a self-adjusting clutch, which requires the use of a suitable tool that evenly tensions the pressure plate spring. A clutch mounted in a classic way will generate vibrations, and these are responsible for the durability of the dual-mass flywheel. What's more, it's hard to get a good clutch assembly for little money, because this operation requires dismantling the suspension subframe. It's worth noting that saving on the clutch release bearing, which in the Mondeo is mounted inside the gearbox, can also result in faster wear of the clutch and dual-mass flywheel. You still need to choose the right dual-mass flywheel, because those that fit one engine version differ in their application angle and price. The differences in price are large, and in the angle small. It can be assumed that choosing the wrong flywheel for the engine shortens its service life. In the TDCi from the end of production, from 2006, there was a particulate filter and an expanded, unfortunately not very durable EGR valve. The flow meters and the crankshaft and camshaft position sensor also break down. You also need to check the pipes going to the intercooler. If they whistle, they need to be replaced and sealed. Do TDCi engines have any faultless design elements? The answer is yes, the timing drive. All Ford engines are driven by a maintenance-free and very durable timing chain. However, periodic inspection of it from time to time will not hurt. It is also worth adding that TDCi engines were successively improved, so the younger the year, the less likely a serious failure is. Unfortunately, Mondeo's engine failures don't end with it. Both the interior and the body are fragile. While the rapid wear of the finishing materials and their poor quality of assembly can be tolerated, body corrosion has to be fought quite quickly. Ford fought it during the warranty period, so not every body painting means an accident or collision. Some models may have body parts replaced under warranty. The edges of the doors, bonnets, boot lids, especially in station wagons, and rear wheel arches rust. The specific locks for opening the bonnet with a key also break down. There are well-maintained models, but also those that are almost completely corroded. The exhaust system, side members and suspension subframe mounts also corrode quickly. The suspension can be considered averagely durable, but there are no problems with its service. The classic problem is the cracking of the front suspension springs and the rapid wear of the stabilizer links. At the rear, as I have already mentioned, the design varies depending on the body version. The station wagon suspension is definitely better, in which the powerful transverse arms, in which the springs are mounted, were used. The shock absorbers are separated from the springs, and in some versions, self-leveling shock absorbers were used. They can be replaced with standard ones, but this must also be accompanied by replacing the springs with those dedicated to the standard suspension. The springs in the self-leveling versions are lower. In the sedan and liftback, the shock absorber is combined with the springs to form a suspension strut. The double wishbones for each wheel are mounted to the body on a subframe, which is not present in the station wagon. The frame, in turn, is mounted on replaceable but glued-in bushings. In addition, the wheel bearings at the rear are not replaceable. The entire hub must be replaced. The brakes, on the other hand, are effective and durable, but the rear calipers tend to seize, especially when the handbrake is rarely used. The Mondeo's air conditioning is also not very durable, which is often due to a damaged high-pressure sensor. The cabin filter seal also wears out, which results in a wet carpet under the passenger's feet. The cost of maintaining the Mondeo would not be high if it were not for its failure rate. Generally, good availability of parts, low fuel consumption and low susceptibility to theft reduce costs. In turn, high failure rate and corrosion significantly increase them. The car does not require any special maintenance care, apart from a specific tool for replacing the clutch. Importantly, although the authorized Ford service is not a fan of this model, it offers relatively affordable prices for spare parts. The car is equipped with large wheels, but at the same time with tires of typical sizes. Is it worth it? Ford Mondeo Mk3 is a very good car from the technical side, but unfortunately very troublesome from the operational side. It is better to be guided by the service history than mileage or age, although unlike wine, the younger the Ford Mondeo, the better. However, it is better to choose the petrol version with a 2.0L engine and enjoy operation without major problems. The estate versions are worth more, although the liftback is only slightly less practical. Which engine to choose? If diesel is a must, then the hard-to-find 2.2 TDCi is the best, as it was the most refined design and its servicing is not much more expensive. Only the insurance rate may be slightly higher, but the performance is excellent. TDDI is better to skip due to wear and tear, but if the car has documented low mileage, the TDDI version will be less troublesome than the first TDCi. There are various, sometimes extreme opinions about engines and cars. Some users praise the TDDI engine with 300,000 kilometers, while others curse this car not only for the repair costs but also the high loss of value at resale. I will quote a comment from one of the users, which quite interestingly reflects the situation of this model. I have a black Mondeo Mk3 TDCi 130 bhp estate from 2003. Honestly, it's hard to find such a good car for so little money, but at the same time I'm fed up with it. I service, look after and repair it as best I can. I've tried to prove that it's possible to drive this car without problems, but I've already been back home on a tow truck a few times. There's always something going on and I'm never sure if the car will make it home on its wheels. I have a well-maintained model and have replaced almost everything under the hood, but still, something keeps breaking down. I'm glad that at least I'm not bothered by corrosion. I'm thinking of swapping for a 3.0 V6, which has similar performance and I've heard that it's trouble-free. I don't want any other model because this one is perfect for me. Asterisk. To sum up, is it worth it? Personally, I advise against buying this Mondeo with a diesel engine. With such a budget, it is better to look for something smaller, for example, the Focus with a French 1.6 TDCi engine, or a larger one, for example, the Galaxy with a 1.9 TDI engine from Volkswagen. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.
I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what breaks and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro.